1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, pa 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 da, pa 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 pa.
From the east to the west, and from the south to the north. From Los Angeles, Estrella de Los Angeles presenta a Mario Lino in a program that brings hope and family together, touching subjects that concerns the community and family in general. Today's program has education, entertainment, politics, and a little salt and pepper to your taste.
Yeah, mis amigos. A little bit of salt and pepper to your taste. Hello, my name is Mario Lino. Welcome to the show. Today we're going to talk about Robert F. Kennedy Jr. He's making a lot of noise. We just don't know how far it's going to get, but he is hot. I want you to know it, okay? And Letitia James and all the judges, what's going on in New York. I call them the big circus in New York. Today on the show we have John Briscoe on my left, and hopefully Pablo gets later on via Zoom, and Evelyn is not capable to come because she's working. So in the meantime, we'll get on the show. We'll get this show rolling. Mr. Briscoe, welcome to the show.
Well, thank you.
Let's talk about Letitia James and what's going on in New York. Obviously, you remember she wanted to get almost $500 billion from Donald Trump. For some reason, the judge and local justices in there, they feel sorry for Donald Trump. And turns out to be that at the end of the day, he got a discount, basically, $175 million. Did you think that amount of money is still fair, or you think it's still a big dilemma, a big circus in there?
The corrupt judge in that case levied almost $500 million in a fine. In addition, there was interest due on it to over $500 million that he wanted to have Donald Trump put up just for the right of an appeal up and over him. If he didn't put up $500 million, he wouldn't be able to ask a real court with a real judge what was right and correct. The case itself is an odd amalgam of mixed up, moshed up charges that $13 million valuation for the Mar-a-Lago when it's probably worth $1 billion are just some of the examples of the asininity or insanity of all that goes on in that court. So that's why we have in this country an appeal all the way up to a Supreme Court if they want to take the case. The case stinks, and the treatment of the president stinks. I think $175 million is ridiculous. He's not going anywhere.
So
he's not going to flee.
You capable to, you feel happy or satisfied saying that this particular case is just like a circus, you know? It's not, it doesn't make sense. Never in the history of this country will see such a thing like that. You agree with me that that's not normal, right? This country is completely a banana republic, right?
Well, it's a bond. It was meant to make him show up to court. There's no risk of Donald Trump fleeing. I mean, he could certainly flee if he wanted, but there's little risk of him actually fleeing, being the Republican Party.
He owns too much property, that's why.
So the whole program was, and she ran for election on the idea that I'm going to get somebody. Well, that's not the way this country operates, or it's supposed to. You're not supposed to run for office to tell how you're going to go get somebody. In conviction or evidence, those are good things, but not just going to get them.
But see, one of the things that is very important that you just made is you don't run to become an elective prosecutor just by saying, I'm going to get Donald Trump. He is a legitimate president. I mean, somehow the Democrats, they can say anything that they want, and yet, you know, no one complains about it, you know? They can lie, they can deceive, they can do anything they want, and not a single person can say anything to it. You think that's normal, too?
Well, they're public officials, and you can say anything you want about them. The one judge prohibited Donald Trump from saying anything about his family, even though his daughter's a major fundraiser and Democrat Party operator. He couldn't say anything about her biased attention and interest that he thought would bias and be a cheat against him with her father. Now she can't. Now he can't even talk about her. So
you're talking about the new case, right?
There's all these cases going on.
This new case with the judge Marchant and her daughter that is associated with the Democrats, and she's been donating thousands of dollars with it, right?
Yes, and so now he can't talk about her.
Is that a normal republic that we're living right now?
Well, it's they're public people, And you can say anything you want, but to say that because it would make it look like he's biased, which I think he is.
But let me ask you something, John Briscoe. You are running for the 42nd Congressional District. Why can't you say the same thing? Why can't you lie? Why can't you expose yourself like these people does? You're a man of principle, so what's the reason? Why can't you do the same thing as they do?
Well, Mario, I've been an elected public official for 16 years. 4 different times I've won election on the school board. And I've had people stand up at the dais in front and say terrible things about me.
Really?
Horrible things. And I just have to sit there and take it and listen to it and smile, pat them on the head, and they go on their way. Public people have nothing to say. I'm a public person.
And at the end of the day, do they say the truth, or just, what do you do? Everything just slides to your back, like you have all kinds of Vaseline in your back and everything slides down through?
Well, not Vaseline, but when they say things, there's nothing I can say or do. It's not a debating society. And you never, one of the sayings in politics is never, ever act or respond to somebody that's attacking you. Never respond and counter their points. All it does is give more credence to what they're saying. Ignore them completely and go on my way. And that's the mantra I work by. So these people were horrible people. They were Proud Boys and 3%ers that showed up at my board meetings and several other places.
Okay, so let's do something right now. I'll be honest with you. I'd like to have you introduce yourself to our audience and commit yourself to what you plan to do if you become elected, please.
I'm John Briscoe. I am your elected Republican Party nominee for the 42nd Congressional District. I say the Republican part because there's only 16% Republicans in the whole district from Long Beach up to Cudahy. But we earned 35% of the vote, which is more than twice the party registration. I'm not as well known as my opponent, Roberto Garcia, but I plan to be well known by the time November rolls around, and I plan to beat him. And I plan to be in Congress to represent the people of the 42nd Congressional District on 3 areas. One, the biggest one, is the prices are too damned high. In this country right now today, the federal government cheated and they changed the way we calculate inflation. This is something most people don't know because the devil's always in the details.
Can you break it down for us, please, so we can understand?
If we had the same measures as 10 years ago that measured inflation, the CPI, inflation would have been 19%. 19%.
19%.
Instead, it showed up as 9%. So it understates the inflation. That's why people are so angry. They're really hissy. That's with an H. They're really hissy with the inflation, even though the government says, oh, it's going away, it's getting smaller. It's not really. In terms of things that people that buy and spend and work for a living, it's 18% 2 years ago, and now it's 9%, not 3 and 4%.
So who did this? The federal government, you just say?
Federal government with their spend.
So when the Treasury Secretary says, she went around and did the Sunday interviews with all the stations, obviously the so-called the legend stations, and she went on the air and said that this situation was transitory. It was going to be just for a few months. She represents the federal government, so it's from the top down. They were all lying about the economics of this country.
She's a liar. She said the inflation's transitory. When you pump in trillions of dollars into the economy and you have nothing to take it out with taxes or anything, it's going to make everything more expensive because there's too many dollars chasing too few goods. In this case, 30% inflation. So the workers in my district, 42 California, if they didn't get a 30% raise last year, plus some, they got screwed. I'll say it on the air here. They got screwed. They were treated, they're very well behind, and they'll never catch up. Even the pilots got a 34% raise at Southwest Airlines. And everybody said, oh, 34%. Oh, that was 34% over the next 4 years, and they didn't get a raise for the last 4 years. So over the course of 8 years, they got a 34% raise. Let's see, how many times does 8 go into 34? Not a lot, and they got a lot less of a raise than inflation was. They got screwed too, even though it felt like they got a big raise. They got nothing. So inflation is horrible, and it hits the old people who've saved money the worst because their dollar spends 1/3 less today than it used to spend. So the first thing I'm running on to work on that I will fix in this district is the inflation. The prices are too damn high. $5 and $6 a gallon gasoline, $5 a dozen eggs. It goes on and on.
Yeah. Okay, so let's go to another subject which is really, really interesting right now. Yesterday, R.F. Kennedy Jr. went on the air and they asked him a very, very simple question. On CNN, they say, who is more threat to democracy? Either Donald Trump or Joe Biden? You take a guess, please, and what did he say? What was the answer?
No, I don't know. What did he say?
The answer was Joe Biden.
Oh, really?
Because he's been censored everybody since he got into the White House through Twitter, through all the big techs, to all these platforms and everything. And anybody who has that much power, they can do almost anything. They can erase you off the map, and he uses the justice system to do all that. So basically, he says, if you ask me who is the worst person for a threat to democracy nowadays, it's Joe Biden. That was his answer. So CNN got panicked. They didn't know what to say. You know, they didn't expect it. But of course, this guy say anything, he doesn't care. You know what I mean? So what's your opinion on that particular conversation that they had on CNN?
I would not have guessed that answer, but it's true. It's true because Joe Biden himself, all by himself, if he had his wits about him and weren't demented, would be a more moderate, slow-go guy, but he's got these radical people behind him that propose these radical, insane policies, and he's just a shill, just a front piece for all the people behind, like that Wizard of Oz guy behind the curtain.
So the tentacles are way up on the heels, and he just moves a little bit. Whatever he can, he's not capable to move too much.
No, he's a puppet.
But in other words, he's just a puppet, yeah, okay.
And the people who are running his puppetry are liberal, left-wing, socialist, collectivist people who...
So John, how many people is in a Congress?
400.
And how many people is in a Senate?
Well,
so the people know exactly.
100 people in the Senate, 2 from each state, and the Congress, I believe, is 456.
Okay, so how many Democrats are in the Senate?
There are 50 Democrats in the Senate. Well, that's not true. There's a couple that identify as independent, but they always vote with the Democrats.
Right.
But they have a 50. They have a 50%.
So would you agree with me that 50 Democrats are threat to democracy?
Oh, threat.
Why? Well, the reason is because they support Joe Biden's agenda. They support anything that he says. So to me, that particular party is involved in things that are not supposed to be. They're not representing us anymore. I'll give you an example. On Sunday, he declared something about visibility.
Oh,
what does that mean?
Transvisibility Day.
What does that mean? Can you, as a professor, as an educator, can you please educate me a little bit? And by the way, you can educate the public out there too.
Well, we have...
What is he trying to say? What is he trying to? What kind of message he's trying to deliver to us?
He's carrying the message. It started with Obama, with the Trans Visibility Day, and they never coincide with any other holiday. And then this year, it was on Easter Sunday. He prohibited any expression of a religious symbol on the eggs when they did the Easter egg coloring. Any religious, no crosses, no stars of David.
That to me is an insult.
Well, it is, because Easter is a religious day. It's a day of celebration of Jesus Christ's execution and resurrection. So first of all, Biden started with that. Then he had those stupid idiot bunnies up there with him on the White House balcony, as if Easter was about bunnies and not something far more significant.
So let me get in here. Allow me to get in here. The 50 Democrats that they run the show in the Senate, they all come out on television and support this guy's agenda, the president. There's no other way that we can call these people out. They are a threat to democracy, and yet they turn around and every single word, their main line that they expose themselves when they go on national television is, Donald Trump is a threat to democracy. Donald Trump is a threat to democracy. Donald Trump is a threat to democracy. They don't know another word.
No, and they all say the same thing.
Yeah,
you
but
watch BSDNC.
what the point I'm trying to say is, this is the people that they say what they're doing, but yet they accuse other people that they're doing it.
No, that's true.
And my question to you is, who are they trying to fool?
Well, all the people that watch CNN, not many people watch those stations anymore, but the few people that do watch them, those people watch the show and they believe everything they say, because the people on there have high credibility and they've been doing it for years.
So let me ask you for a recommendation as a professor and as a person who's running for the 42nd district and Congress. suggest to the people what media can they follow, what other station can they follow, so they can get the real truth.
It's very
Because after
difficult,
all, our
huh?
show is consists about trying to give the people the truth. Because if without the truth, we cannot survive as a country. To be honest with you, everything is being subverted. None of the good news come out. Whatever bad news from the border, they're trying to block him. The lady at the press conference in Washington, she's always blocking anything, any good questions, whatever. She just hang up the phone on the interview and says, "Oh, I'm sorry. Have a nice, wonderful day." She will not answer no questions.
Well, it's funny when she does that. It's a great play, by the way. If you ever get in that spot, she says, "Well, I can't believe you asked that question. I'm going to hang up. Goodbye."
Yeah.
Well, that's no answer. I mean, it's a stupid answer, but it's
See, that's what I'm talking about exactly, how they block out themselves and they got everything on control because they own the media and the media supports them. So what can you suggest our viewers to see? Shows like this, there's a lot of shows on
Well,
television.
the newspapers are biased. LA Times is a rag and is totally biased to the left. The Southern California News Group is pretty even keel. That would be the Daily Breeze, and that would be the Long Beach Press Telegram and the Orange County Register and the San Bernardino Bulletin. The other one is Fox News, and Fox News actually makes an effort to have somebody else, at least one person on the show, if there's a group of 5, that has a different viewpoint compared to the other stations that had, what's her name, Ronna McDaniels,
Ronna
a
McDaniels.
Republican voice, even if some people think she's not Republican enough. She was on the show, and her fellow speakers on the show were so incensed they threatened to quit, and they threatened the station. And so the station took her off after one day because they were afraid to hear Ronna McDaniel's response to them. If you watch CNN or BSDNC, they all say the exact same words from the same script. The threat against democracy is one of them. I've seen it. And
Okay.
so it's,
I agree with you. So she's going to collect a little over $500,000 salary for a couple of hours that she dedicated for that show. So it's pretty good money. They're going to take a big loss because they should have a different voice in their show in order for them if they want people to watch them. Just so we can wrap this segment on RFK Jr., the real threat to democracy, to me, is the Democrats. I'm going to bring this conversation to you. I think in 2006, there's a clip running on television where Joe Biden actually voted. He says with his own, the way he expresses himself with this extravagance and everything, he says, "I need to vote for this bill because it's good. It's going to lock all these people up, and I vote in favor of 1,200 miles of borderline in
Wow,
2006. And look at today now.
now he's talking about putting it back in again.
2006 versus 2024. What a difference of politicians, huh?
Yeah, but I'm going to take exception to what you said. In my case, my district is 16% Republican and 55% Democrat. I will be elected to the U.S. Congress by Catholic Hispanic voters. The district is half Hispanic. Catholic Hispanic voters, many who have never pulled the lever for a Republican, will vote for John Briscoe because I stand for the things that they believe in, and I will work for the things that they need. The prices need to come down, parent choice and responsibility, and family safety. Those are my 3 major things, and those are things that are important to the Hispanic Catholic voters in California 42.
And also, you probably have to get quite a few Democrats to vote for you.
Well, they're going to be mostly Democrats
with
doing
faith,
that.
People, Democrats with faith that believe in God, with good principles, they should come along you and vote for you.
Well, many of them will be the first time they voted for a Republican. But my election is not a party vote. It's not about Republican or Democrat. My election is about what do I stand for? What do I work for the people in the district?
All right, so, I'm going to back again on economics because this week the eggs again are $5 a dozen. Since you're running for the 42nd Congressional District, can you talk to me a little bit about how you plan to fix the economics, please? How? Because really the people, the house people, the mothers, the low-income people are really getting hurt on it. It has a big impact on their family.
Yeah, the same money you used to spend $1 for, the bag is now 2/3 full. 1/3's missing because there's not enough money in it. So you substitute down from meat down to beans and rice and tortillas, and that's okay, but they're not as healthy. No, the problem in the district with inflation is the Congress is spending too damn much money, which makes the prices too damn high. And they're spending like a drunken sailor, spending money with bribes and with subsidies to engineering companies and chip companies, none of which makes it down to the people at the street level, people who have hardworking jobs, assistants, clerks in stores, gardeners, the kind of people that work in my district. They work 40 and 50 hours. Sometimes they work 2 jobs to make ends meet, hardly ever see their kids. They don't care about billions of dollars of bribe money to a chip company. They need things to stop spending so we stop the inflation. And the inflation ain't going back down either, by the way, folks. You can't put the genie back in the bottle. The prices are all up 30%. That's where they're going to be. But we need to stop the increase, period. Stop the increase, stop spending money. And the people that spend the money is Congress. Congress is who spends the money. And that's where I plan to be, to say no on this ridiculous spending.
So let me go to this. Have a drink of water, please, John Briscoe, because you have a problem with your throat.
I do.
Dr. Lino is going to fix you up to the throat. If you listen to me, please. By the way, your opponent, Robert Garcia, is very, very disgusted. For some reason, he didn't like what Robert F. Kennedy Jr. said the other day, so he's really, really upset. He says, he thinks this guy, he says like this, he expresses himself.
In Minneapolis.
And yet it's not enough for the Democrats. So we have to do something about it. What are we going to do to get these people replaced?
Roberto
John?
Garcia told us he wants to have an amnesty program and a path to citizenship so they can all vote.
Ask Roberto Garcia to donate some of the money he gets from the Democrat Party so he can be speaking to us about, bringing all these people across the border. If he's willing to donate a room for these people to come in over this country, I'm more than welcome. Take him to his house. You know what I mean?
Mario, he spent actually more than $3 million to campaign against me 2 years ago. $3 million for a primary vote run. He was funded by Sam Bankman-Fried, the 25 years in jail, corrupt billionaire thief stealer guy for cryptocurrency, FTX. But anyway, he should donate that money to the people that really need it. I agree. That's a really great idea.
Let me ask you a question before we wrap this up. What is Roberto Garcia, your opponent, stands for? You know what his policy is?
Whatever the Democrat Party says, he stands for.
A threat to democracy. That's what they stand for.
That's what he says.
That's what they stand for. They are a threat to democracy. Total, whatever they accuse these other men, they're the ones are doing it. A threat to democracy. My question to you, John Briscoe, is, knowing what you're knowing about these people, knowing about Roberto Garcia, attention you guys out there, knowing what you know about the party that is in power right now, all the lies, all the money they collected from China, all the things that they're doing, censoring people, sending the FBI, sending all these agencies to collect information. After everything that you know, do you still trust these people? That's the question that comes in. Do you still trust these people to run this country?
Well,
You still trust this government?
No, not when the FBI and the other agencies call up social media and give directions on what they want or don't want on social media, and not just for major policy things where there could be public health like COVID, but don't publish anything about the laptop because we think it could be a problem, you'd be embarrassed. Yeah, no. And then threatening them with taking their license away because of that special exemption for internet. Now, these people in the U.S. government, and it was all exposed when Elon Musk opened up the box and showed everybody what was in there. And what was in there, the actual emails from the U.S. government to these entities, was horrible. It's no way that any government should be behaving against the people.
Have you ever watched Joe Rogan?
No, I watched him once. It was,
Okay, so he, this is somebody you can trust. You know, he talks really truth. He doesn't really put too much emphasis on stuff that is not true. So he had a conversation and an interview with a person really close to the CDC, and how the FDA is being aware of ivermectin, how they told the FDA that they were wrong.
right.
They already admitted they were wrong, not let the doctors prescribe this medicine so not enough people can die, in other words. They could have saved a lot of people by using the medicine.
They could. And that whole situation, ivermectin is a animal tranquilizer and an anti-inflammatory. COVID is an inflammatory disease that makes your skin and your body inflame and get extremely irritated.
So the FDA got into and says to please take that line off that. There's no cure for horses or cows. It can be used for human people too.
It was,
they corrected all that stuff.
and it's wrong. The stuff, if you do it in time. They did a study with veterans
So
in the
I don't want
Veterans
to interrupt
Hospital.
you so often, but you know, that's a threat to democracy. And
Absolutely.
guess who did that? The Democrats.
It's a threat to health. People died because of that.
Health and democracy is very close to it, so that's a threat to democracy. These people, they're responsible for a lot of people who died. They could have saved people's lives.
Well, and then they lied. They gave the ivermectin to veterans who had had COVID for a week. And after a week, they gave them the stuff to see if it would do any good. And it didn't do any good. You must give it within 1 or 2 days from first symptoms to stop the inflammation. And then they came back and said, well, we tested it, and ivermectin doesn't do anything, which was, of course it doesn't after a week. It's a setup. And they didn't want to support ivermectin because Donald Trump said it was good. I believe he had treatment with ivermectin when he had COVID himself, along with every other treatment he could know about. So the stuff works. It can help. It can cure. It doesn't cure everybody, but it can help. And people died because they didn't have access to it. Ivermectin use is an off-label use, which is legal.
John Briscoe, I think the bigger picture here is exactly how the government was way out there where all these tentacles controlling the people, controlling the media. The media do not deliver this, deliver this. These are the goodies coming up from the White House. These are the goodies, please. They control everything.
And nobody knew about it until Elon Musk bought X or Twitter, and then all this garbage came out. I think that...
So we need over 1,000 Elon Musks so he can save this country.
Open up all the vaults and let's look at the garbage that these people did in the privacy of their little office, telling social media what to publish and what to look at and what not to publish.
I have a question for you. Since you're a businessman and you have a lot of rentals and you own a lot of property, I'm not saying you're very rich.
Yes, you are. No, I'm not.
But if you are rich, if you want to share some of your richness, it's okay.
I have a rich sense of humor.
Knowledge. I can be more happy if I knowledge more. I think with knowledge, I can make a lot of more money. So there's too many ways of saying, oh, Mario is very rich on knowledge, not on money in a bank or on property. So there's a lot of ways. Oh, Mario is very rich on history. You know, he knows a lot. I remember you say, Mario, where the hell did you get all this information? You remember what you said?
Yeah, oh yeah, I'm amazed.
You're pretty good prepared man, you say.
You are.
So, you know, I read a lot of books. You're giving me a lot of books. I have a lot of people who give me a lot of literature to read. But now I've been reading so many stories. I originally read these stories back in Mexico, South Central America. When you leave your little property up in the mountains, you most have to have like a person keeping an eye on it, you know, for free. Stay here, keep an eye on my property. So
Well, you have to. They build houses and
So even in my own father, my own family built a little house for this particular man so we can stay in there and keep an eye on the house. This, the kid, by the way, is not associated with these people.
Oh, that's not.
There's no relationship with the kid. There's discovered there's no relationship. The kid is 10 years old.
Oh.
The kid is already in practice of stealing, selling, probably prostituting, whatever that comes with it, along with the kind of lifestyle that they live. What is it? What is these people teaching the 10-year-old kid? What is he learning?
Well, none of them have a good life.
This
Who
happens
wants-
in New York.
Who
This
wants
happened
to,
in New York.
who wants to live in a place
And they're all
you
from
know you're going to be
Venezuela.
kicked
They're all
out
from
of?
Venezuela. In case if they say there's no crime coming in across the border, they're all from Venezuela.
Well, the Venezuelans also have that, and the Ecuadorians and the Peruvians have the system down where you fly into the U.S. on a visitor's visa for 30 days or 60 days, go rob and burglarize, and then fly back to where you came from with your money. And that's a big problem, too. The people there, the big underlying thing is that's not a nice way to live, not for the kid for sure, but for people. Who wants to live someplace you're going to have to move out and be back on the street in 3, 4, or 5 months? And the people that are squatting on my place, they're going to be out. I will win. There's no reason for them to be there. The judge will rule in my favor, but then they'll be out. Where are they going to go? There's no place for them to go. I don't feel sorry for them, but it's not a luxury lifestyle. Sleeping on a lousy, dirty mattress with all your fast food containers around your mattress is not a plush and lush way to live. It's a miserable way to live.
And no shower, no nothing in it. You know, that poor kid, and there has no reason to be there.
No.
I mean, it's not the question you want to feel sorry for. It's the lifestyle that they give this kid. And how does he got involved with them? God knows where they pick up this kid. Maybe they went and waited a line in it and applied to pick up this kid.
Oh, yeah.
Like Pablo did with his kids, you know. If they did that and they got away with it, oh boy, the system is not working. It's just that we've been talking about the government lost 300,000 kids. And then in another department, they lost another 85,000 kids. No, they have no register on anything. They don't know where they went. They can't account for them anymore. So this government really is a threat to democracy.
Well, the federal government is not meant
They
to
want
keep
to talk
track of
about a
kids.
threat to democracy,
Yeah.
a threat to society, a threat to everything that comes along with humans.
Yes, throwing kids away to families you don't know what and where is bad policy. The New York, the federal government takes the children in and then throws them into society, and they're not able or good at tracking and following them. That's the big problem. The government is not a child care provider. State and counties are. Counties have very big child welfare system, but the federal government doesn't. 85,000 kids just thrown in the wind to somebody somewhere somehow that said they should take care of them.
No, that's really an insult. The question is also, you know, they're transporting all the kids from there. They're back to slavery again. They're pretty much that's what it is, you know. They get them across the border, boom, come on, bingo. They put them over here, then they put them on a coral in it, and then they invite a whole bunch of people to come over. Take a look, pick the one you like. Oh, I like this little brown one. I like this little blue eyes guy. I like that kid.
Well, and then
And that's not normal, you know. That's not normal life.
they come in, especially the 13, 14-year-olds and above, they owe the cartels $10,000 U.S. to pay for their getting here. So they're coming in with an obligation to pay back money they have no way of getting other than easily, rather than crime and criminal behavior, stealing, lying, cheating. And that's another problem that is...
Well, I think last week, John Briscoe, I asked you, if you become elected, I want you to...
Not if, when? When?
If you become elected on November the 5th, enact a law on behalf of the little niños. The little niños need to be protected. They don't deserve to be on the dirt.
No.
If they deserve to be on the dirt, why they bring them over here to this world? You know what I mean? Why they bring them across the border and they dump them any place? Because they give you, you know how an old saying in Mexico says, like, el muerto y el arrimado los 3 días apesta. In other words, the dead and whoever get close to your house, after 3 days, it's time for you to go.
Oh.
they give you food for 3 days. They give you a shower for 3 days. Probably give you a change of clothes. Hey, buddy, you gotta go.
Yeah, that's the English saying is, fish and guests need to go away after 3 days.
Fish and guests need to go away after 3 days. That's it.
But we can't throw the kids away.
That's typical, but you can't throw. That's why I
Yeah.
put that as an example. You know, really. Bottom line in here, John, you need to, when you become elected, which I hope you become elected, and we're working really hard for you to become elected. I recommend you to enact a law to protect the little niños of the world.
And I will. They get no attention now. Oh, they're all living with adults somewhere. Well, of course they're living with adults somewhere. But the adults have no accountability, no follow-up, no nothing.
But even if they live with adults, John Briscoe, think about this. 2 adults, 2 males went and adopt 2 kids.
No, I'm saying they do. It's not a good situation.
Well, I'm giving you an example. 2 adults, males went and adopt 2 kids. Well, they're probably 2, 3 years old, I assume, you know. But now these kids are going to grow up. They're going to be 6, 7, 10, 15 years old. What is these two males going to be teaching these two kids? If they ask him, hey, how are you going to, am I going to have a little brother later on?
Yeah, we'll go.
What do you
We'll
think
go
is
steal another one for you.
What do you think is going to be the answer?
No, and then the other is that they'll have a hearing in 7 years. RFK told us that. At the border, they're giving people a cell phone, and they're saying, come back for your adjudication with a real judge to see if you have a legal reason to be here in 7 years. 7 years. By that time, a 5-year-old child would be 12 years old, having grown up in Minnesota and gone to school there. What's the child going to do? And he's claiming asylum for political, and he's not. His parents, who knows where his parents are? It's a complete mess, and it's not good for the children.
Hey, you know what? The bottom line is, it's not, yes, this stuff, but the way they're running the country, it really is not. Today, I'm going to go change the little subject. Today, it was a report released by the federal government, the State Department, how they messed up the evacuation from the people from Afghanistan. It was a big report today. What a burn for this guy. They sent people that they're supposed to be ready. And you know what the paper says? That they send, instead of sending the good people to save people to bring them over here, they send the worst people to bring them over here. They don't know what they were doing.
Uh-huh.
They didn't send the worst. They sent the worst of the worst to save the people coming in from the country.
From Afghanistan.
From Afghanistan.
So they got out of Afghanistan.
Some people that they went there to save, they were so overweight they can't even move to walk fast enough. They even talk about the weight of the people. They weren't ready. They never were ready. When they took over the White House, they weren't ready. They didn't know what they were doing. Don't forget that this guy went as a president, and after they killed the lady, there was no exposure when they were going to count the votes. They just dropped the ball. He says, no, let's have a president. And that way, when the January 6th committee did this investigation, they never talk about this woman. They got killed in a chamber. You know what I mean?
Well, yeah.
They never mentioned her name ever at all. Oh, dude, you know what they mentioned? Donald Trump's name mentioned it 1,900 times.
Everything's Donald Trump's
So
fault.
all these people in the Senate, the 50 Democrats and whatever the rest is in the House, they're all a threat to democracy for what they do. For all the cover-up that they've been doing, for all the hiding that they've been doing, for not investigating the right things, for all the cover-up that they did, for all the censorship that they did, they are a threat to democracy.
Republican Party when Ross Perot won. He got almost 20% of the vote and caused Bill Clinton to get elected instead of the other guy getting reelected. So they're terrified that the JFK Jr. is going to do the same thing to the Joe Biden guy, and they're going to have to deal with Trump. Trump was not a very good administrator the first year he's in. He didn't.
What's your gut telling you? What do you think? You think Robert F. Kennedy Jr. will take away from Donald Trump or Joe Biden? The way it is right now, I think the country is really divided completely. Many people, I'll tell you, probably they're not going to vote because they're pretty much depressed on how the country is running. And, you can't blame them for it. They've been lie and lie and lie again and lie again. So the people really on the Democrat side, they're pretty united, you know what I mean? But on the other side, I just don't know. And the independents supposed to be, he says, the independents are 40%. They're the ones that are going to carry him out. What do you think?
I think that there's 10% of voters with 45% and 45% on either side. There's 10% of voters right in the middle that are going to decide the election. And things like in Georgia where they had ballots mailed in, no signature requirement, no nothing, and they didn't check for signatures, that kind of silliness is going to stop, and that'll fix the voting problem. So, no, I think that the middle part, that little tiny 5%, will swing. I think it's going to swing towards Donald Trump because the Donald Trump base is made up of voters from the rural areas, the red counties across the country, and they don't really care for the RFK. Robert F. Kennedy Jr. is a lifetime, dyed-in-the-wool Democrat, mouthing Democrat policies and procedures his whole life. And he really hasn't changed. He wants to have a federal program to make loans, home loans to people. There's all sorts of things he's proposing that are not Trump, that are not freedom, they're more government control, except for immigration, where he says you got to build the wall. Anyway, so no, RFK Jr. is a bigger threat. He's not a Republican. He's not conservative. He's not anything like Donald Trump. He's a bigger threat to the Democrats because some of the Democrats are going to listen to him and go, well, he's a Kennedy, and what he says is pretty reasonable because he's a Democrat, a liberal Democrat. He's going to suck away votes enough in the key states. There's Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, Michigan, Georgia, and Arizona. Enough votes in those states to twist, turn, and move the needle over to Donald Trump, and he'll be president.
Yeah, I certainly hope so because he will not, Kennedy will not be able to score really, but the bottom line, he's going to affect the election a lot. One way or another, I won't have anything wrong if he gets elected. The thing is, he has such a heavy name on it, Kennedy. On one side, and then on the other hand, he's been talking a lot about, he's up against the wind, against the green, against everything else that has to do with the energy. I don't understand the guy. He would have left that alone. I think chances to be elected is probably better.
He's a liberal Democrat.
Yeah, but look, right now, even Tesla has problems producing batteries. Even Tesla is dying on energy. There's not enough energy.
No, there's not enough lithium and batteries to go around.
So, here's this guy running on our platform. The other guy, they asked Hillary Clinton, what do you think about the two evils? He says, well, Joe Biden is a nice guy. He has a good heart, and he's old. The other guy, he's old. He don't have a heart, and he's been convicted of 99 crimes. Accused of 99 crimes.
He's convicted of nothing.
So, if you listen to that language, after this lady did so much crimes herself, I say, like God says, if you clean of sin, throw the first rock on a lady. You remember that?
That's what the Bible said. It said, throw the rock at Hillary Clinton. It's right there.
So if she's so clean and she's saint and everything, why she goes on the air and say this nasty kind of language? As it is, the people are so confused. This lady goes on the air and famous shows and talks all this nonsense. What's the problem with these ladies? I don't understand.
Oh, she still suffers from the Trump derangement syndrome. That night when she thought she was going to win, she was up in her bedroom, and they're counting votes, and no votes came in sufficient to have her over the top. She didn't even come down to give a concession speech or anything. It was really sad. And then there's Donald Trump over on the other
Did
side.
you see how many people cry all over the world for this?
Oh, newscasters, unbiased newscasters.
It was a guy having a problem with his leg. He almost got paralyzed one side because he was.
Oh.
what was his name?
He got to talk to the candidate. He got a twingle in his leg, tinge in his leg. It was shaking or something. It was ridiculous.
It was incredible how so many people got hurt because she wasn't elected. It's not up to the media. It's not up to the CNBC, MSNBC, CBS, CNN. No, it's not up to them.
Mario, I was in
It's
Washington.
up to us, the people. The people vote people to be there. So therefore, you, the people out there, need to pay attention. Pay attention who you look for, who you gonna vote for. See what they got to offer. Do a little bit of study. See what they've been doing in the past. You know what kind of history they are. You know, like the media. All they do is they put this guy on a pedestal and they put a little bit of Vaseline, cream, and cheese and everything. They shove it to you like enchilada.
Enchilada.
That's not the way it works. You know, you got to do your own work. You know, vote for the right guys. Isn't that right?
Mario, I was in
And
Washington.
you guys, you know, hey.
I was in Washington, D.C. the day after the election, and it was full of very angry, sad, and unhappy women with their
That's a
pink
pretty-
pussy hats on.
Pretty upset city, huh? Washington was a very, very bad city that night.
Oh, it was amazing the next day. But no, he won, and there's nothing they could do about it. But they did do something in 2020.
I'll remember something really nice, John Briscoe, when he did this acceptance, when he had Obama, Biden, and all these big people and everything. If you see the way he was expressing Donald Trump after right there on the red carpet, and as he was speaking, even some of the people with the military outfits, they just turned around and just walked away.
Really?
Yeah, if you watch that video, you'll see something is going on with this because he says, for too many years, these people offer you the world, offer you the stars. Too many people got screwed. Most of you guys don't got nothing. Some of these guys got everything. It's over. Today it's over.
Well, and that's what Trump did when he was.
That's why I got from that time on, CIA, FBI, and everybody got pissed off. We got to get this guy out as soon as possible.
That Donald
We
Trump
got to
had-
accuse him of doing this, accuse him of doing this. They tried to get this guy out.
Oh, they had. It was horrible.
If this guy would have been like Hillary Clinton, with all that baggage and about, he would have got probably impeached the first 3 months. But they didn't have anything on Donald Trump.
No,
But they sure tried to get him out.
and they still don't.
And after everything that we see what they did to him, 2016 all the way to 20, after you see what the Democrats did, because there's no other party involved in here, whatever the Democrat Party did to Donald Trump for 4 years, no rest. They didn't rest. They just bam, 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 bam. After you see all this, you still trust these people?
And in very
You
subtle
still
ways.
vote for these people?
The ambassador of the U.S. to the Ukraine, she hated Donald Trump, still does. And so she refused to put his picture up in the embassy. And there's a rule and a law and a requirement that embassies display the commander-in-chief that she reports to. She works at the behest of the commander-in-chief. And she refused to put his picture up. And I don't care about his picture being up, but it was indicative of the depth of the hate and disdain that his staff had for him. She came back and testified before Congress, and she was crying, oh, boo-hoo-hoo, that she worked hard and she didn't get treated very nice. Well,
She did a circus, another circus right there.
Yeah.
She did a circus because everything was a lie. Everything that they exposed that lady was a lie. This guy, like I say, you don't have to take me. Just read the books, follow the right news. Donald Trump is not a criminal. Donald Trump is not a threat to democracy. Donald Trump is a threat to the party in power. Get it through your head. Donald Trump is a threat to the party in power. They don't want to be exposed on what they're up to, okay? Mr. John Briscoe, we are getting ready to wrap it up.
No,
As
really.
you turn to invite everybody in town to vote for you on November the 5th because you are the family man and you present the brightest future versus Mr. Roberto Garcia.
I am. I'm John Briscoe, the family man, es uno de nosotros. The family man needs to be talked about and voted for by the Catholic Hispanic families that make up half of this district. So talk to your friends at church. Please talk to everybody because I stand for the things that represent you. the Hispanic, Catholic, and faithful families in the district. Top priority, and I'll get them done for you. I am the family man, unlike the other candidate. Vote for John Briscoe. John Briscoe, November 5th.
Okay, my friend John Briscoe, thank you very much. For those of you out there, it's very, very important to pay attention to the elections. Yes, this man has the right answer. This man has the principles. This man is something you can trust, somebody you can trust because he says the truth. He doesn't have to be, he's just like Donald Trump. He has enough money to survive the rest of his years. He doesn't need the job, but he sees the country going the wrong way, so he wants to become elected to serve you guys out there.
I do.
Please elect John Briscoe. On behalf of Mario Lino, this is one of the greatest shows I put together for you because we do this with our heart. We want to deliver the best. We want to deliver the good news for this beautiful country. Until then, have a beautiful night, the American night. Good night.
Bye-bye.
Well, that's the show for this time. Remember, share the show, share our ideas, full of information, entertainment, and education. And most important, in search for the truth, the real truth, together.